it will come with a big challenge because suddenly, we would need to probably quadruple our playing budget easily just to have a shot at staying in the Championship. And if you want to, finish mid-table, upper mid-table, you're talking about 6x or something like that, what we're doing. And if you want to get in the Premier League, it's 10x pretty much. When you look at the success, like Liverpool are having this season, it feels like there is a long-term vision there. People don't always agree with how FSG go about it, but I think they have a plan of sorts and they stick to it. And that actually is something that we're transitioning to more now. We were a little bit fly by the seat of our pants and like, this will do to get us out of here. Like this is, we don't need to think 5-10 years in the future. We just got to get to May, and see what happens. And we're starting to be like, oh God, we might go in the Championship and that's going to be really expensive and really hard. And how do we protect ourselves from yo-yoing up and down and all the difficulties that come with that?
Do you think one day Wrexham under this ownership model will play in the Premier League?
I think it's very possible.
Yeah.
And the way it works is, we've got a minority investor in this season, the Allen family from upstate New York, who used to own a very successful medical equipment company. They made like all the stethoscopes in America and this and then. They sold their company a long old time ago for a big chunk of change, and they bought a stake in the club, but a minority stake. And so they have impressive financial clout. Not, again, not a petro state type clout, but they got good clout. But I think that if, we get into the Championship and we stabilize and we build our training ground, because we have a training ground, and we build our stand and we renovate the stadium, we get ourselves up to we've got a 20,000 seat modern-ish stadium that retains the charm, and we can make that jump. Then I think what happens is that Rob and Ryan go into their Rolodex and call up one of the dozens and dozens of people who've got in touch over the last 4 years and been like, hi, I am a multi-billionaire. I want to join in on this with you. And then they would sell either another minority stake or a slight majority stake or whatever it may be, where they would stay on, remain in their roles, but we would have someone who could help bankroll. Because basically getting out of the Championship of the Premier League, you're just lighting money.
I mean, Rob and Ryan's, without specific numbers, their wealth is in the hundreds of millions or the tens of millions.
Yeah, hundreds, I would think.
So Rob and Ryan in the hundreds of millions combined. Yet once you're in the Premier League, you're talking billionaire.
Well, the Championship, a lot of teams projected to lose about 60 million quid a year in the Championship.
And Rob and Ryan couldn't do that.
Well, maybe for a bit. But again, one of the things we want to be really careful about is being as sustainable as possible. Yeah. The thing that remains a challenge, albeit we're working towards it in various different ways, is ensuring that if they get hit by a bus next week, we're not suddenly left up shit creek without a paddle. Because at the moment, they don't finance a huge amount of it, but they're the backstop. That means that we can go, yeah, all right, we will spend a little bit extra on this. We will spend a little bit extra on that. Because if we don't recoup that, we can go to them and be like, sorry, can you cut us a check for the difference? And going into the Championship, going into the Premier League, the income is much larger, the opportunity is much larger, the TV money, the this, or that, the other. But again, the Championship, next season, I can't remember who the bottom three are at the moment in the Premier League: Southampton, Wolves, and
Leicester.
Somebody. Yeah, Leicester. Imagine we have to play them with all their many, many internationals, their parachute payments, their whatever. We'll get stomped by them realistically. And we know that, that's just the way it goes in that first season up for the Championship. But the hope is that against the bottom half of the Championship, with the right additions, we can kind of hold our own and do whatever. And we can exist in there. But even existing in there, we would lose a big chunk of money. And we would need to find a way to offset that.
But the general climate in which you're going into now, the expectations are starting to rise. Yeah. And how are you starting to protect yourself or prepare the club to deal with that high expectation?
I think the biggest challenge is that the fairy tale or honeymoon period is sort of over, I think.
Here's the truth. Your body is like an engine and you need to keep it at its best day in, day out. Think of it this way. You wouldn't fuel a racing car on cheap fuel. So why are you doing similar to your body? I take Heights Vitals. I take them every single day. They stop me feeling run down, sluggish. I used to have brain fog. Not anymore. 2 small capsules. These act as my premium grade fuel. I'm keeping with the racing metaphor. So Vitals are a blend of vitamins, nutrients, minerals, omega-3, all the Bs, basically everything you need to perform at your best. So if you're looking for something that keeps you in the driving seat with your nutrition, your brain and body health, then this is it. Taken by athletes, Olympians, and even some well-known racing drivers. This stuff works. So if you're looking to fuel right this year, go to heights.com/Jake or enter the code HP20 at checkout for 20% off your first order and start your journey today.
I do think that if we get smashed like 6 games in a row for our first 6 games, people aren't going to be like, wow, but we're in the championship, so this is an incredible achievement. That has changed enormously. I mean, even over the course of this season, pre-season, all our like fan podcasts and people on forums and people I spoke to in the supermarket were all like, oh, give me 10th or 12th. Like, that'd be incredible. Like, that'd be our highest league finish since 1974. Be absolutely magical. And then we've sat in sort of 1, 2, 3 for the whole season. But in the here and now, it is, we want to win. We want to win 3-0 every single game. And if we're not winning 3-0 every single game, something's wrong. And it's funny. I mean, explaining to Rob and Ryan and again, some of the people, at the channel in the States, they're like, oh, how's the documentary going to work with X, Y, and Z? I was like, you're going to get a lot of drama. Like if you don't get promoted, like how will the documentary work kind of thing. It's like, well, it'll show the fact that suddenly the boot's on the other foot. We all want to get promoted this season because the momentum we've got is hard to beat, right? Like we've got this core, and we would get promoted with players, probably 4 or 5 of our players who started the game that we got promoted from the National League with. And that's great. Like, you've got those guys that have gone right the way through. Max Cleworth, Owen O'Connell, who else have we still got? Well, Paul Mullin, Ollie Palmer, those sorts of players that have been central to everything that we've done. We do have an advantage that other clubs don't, and they've got to cut their cloth, and football's getting more and more expensive. And again, in our division, League One this season, you had like Jay Stansfield went 15 million quid to Birmingham. We spent 2 million on Sam Smith. Huddersfield spent 2 million or something on Joe Taylor, and another 2 million. Those are huge sums for League One. Normally it'd be like, whoa, someone spent 450 grand on a striker. Like, that's nuts. Well, it's trickling down, because the thing is, it's not like we aren't set up in a way that Rob and Ryan are just going like, right, bang, here's 10 million quid for this guy, here's 5 million quid for this guy. We're only spending what we make. And we're operating at a slight loss because that's the way football
They're also
is.
not doing what the Glazers are doing, which is taking huge sums of money out of a football club and saddling the club with the big debt.
Big debt, yes, yeah. And if you're at a club like Aldershot Town, or even who's in our division, Cambridge United, it's like, this is really hard for them to do all those things, and yet so many of those clubs do amazing work in their communities, and they won't sacrifice those things. And it's so important because you're creating the next generation of fans. A football club should be about more than just what happens, from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. on a Saturday.